I've always kind of felt that Comic Link charged too much for shipping. But at the same time, when they ship stuff to you in boxes the size of this, I kind of get it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. All right. Well, in this video, I got a fun video on the channel here today. We have ourselves some original art that I purchased. Don't worry, that box is empty. I've already pulled out the piece of original art that I'm going to share with you guys in this video here today. And maybe more importantly than just showing you the art that I am very, very happy to add to my art collection, I want to talk about maybe a art speculation that could be huge in the future. And with all the ecosystem of art and companies that are popping up and resources that are popping up for original art, you have to wonder if some of these art pieces could start to get very, very desirable in the new future. And in this video, we're going to talk about it. But of course, before I get into it, you guys could like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. Helps with the channel doing those things. Let us get into this video here today. First, we have to do the fun stuff. I had that big box of a original art piece that I bought from Comic Link that I'm happy to share with you guys here today. It's actually a piece from Magic the Gathering. It's a trading card art, and I have to step back and show it to you guys because it's so huge. And so hopefully you guys can still hear me. But this is a piece of art that I've had my eye on for a while, and I'll explain why I had my eye on it very, very soon. But I guess I have to jump into it. Without further ado, I have this incredible Magic the Gathering art piece from the Midnight Hunt Innistrad set, a beautiful piece done by artist Christopher Rahn, or Chris Rahn for short. This is a werewolf depiction of a character named Tolivar, who comes from the Magic the Gathering universe. You guys are probably thinking to yourself, Swag is a nerd. Yeah, you're right, a nerd. I like fantasy art. Get over it, okay? We're going to talk about it, and you're going to want to hear what I have to say very, very soon. But this is an incredible piece, a large canvas right here, beautiful painting. I just absolutely love the work that Chris Rahn does. He is one of the premier fantasy artists working today, does a lot of work for Magic the Gathering, a lot of video game work, a lot of D&D work, and so I've always admired his craft. Especially being that, I may mention on the channel before, I do a lot of work for Magic the Gathering, and this was a piece that I used as an inspiration for some of the work that I did. I worked on the Innistrad set, both for Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt. That was one of the first Magic projects I ever worked on, and this particular art piece was one that was a huge inspiration to the animations and the cinematics that we did, and very, very proud of the work. And I always go back to this one. It kind of brings me back to when I first started working with them, and it just gives me a lot of fond memories. And I've been able to work on some incredible projects ever since then. And so I always kind of had my eye on this piece. And when it went up for sale in Comic Link, because actually I was somebody who was well aware of the person who had owned the original piece of this thing, when it went up for sale on Comic Link, I knew that I had to get it, and I did get it for what I think was a very, very good and fair price. I ended up paying around $7,500 or so for it, which I guess is sort of my price point right now for original art pieces. I find myself always paying around that thing. Maybe I'm overpaying. I don't know. Actually, I'm not, because Chris Rahn is doing incredible stuff, and I know that this piece has been bought for a lot more. So I feel like I got a hell of a deal on that one. And, it's a sentimental piece for me. So again, more art to the collection, more comic book money getting put into original art. What is going on? This is something that continues to be a trend for me, but I do think it's something that I think a lot of you guys understand is like with the comic book thing. Comic books, you can find them again. Most of them. I mean, of course, there are certain Golden Age books that are always tough to find. But for the most part, like the Marvel keys and the DC keys and the ones that are the superhero stuff, you can find them again. But these original art pieces, they're one of one. And so when you want to get something that is, a true collectible or something that is sentimental and meaningful to you, where you don't really care necessarily about the resale value, it makes a lot more sense to put that money into something like this versus a comic book. And frankly, with one of the comic books that I got, I moved a bunch of comic books and basically put it into this original art piece. So that's kind of how it works with the collecting game. But let's talk about Magic the Gathering art for a second, and maybe more specifically, a certain type of Magic the Gathering art that I think could be something of note for a lot of people within our space This is over on Facebook. This is the Magic the Gathering art market. This is a particular Facebook where a lot of Magic the Gathering art pieces are often exchanged. I happened to search the market by Rahn, who is the artist that worked on the piece that I just got, and I kind of wanted to quickly show you guys just some of his artwork that is constantly selling. I mean, this one was $5,000 right here. This one was $11,250. This one was $22,000. So suffice to say, he's a really, really desirable Magic artist. $7,800 right here, $8,000 right here. Tends to be often in the high four figures, a lot of times the five-figure range. But the one thing that I wanted to show you guys most in particular was this piece right here, which if you guys happen to notice, well, what is that? That is the Green Goblin. This is a piece that he did for the recent Magic the Gathering set that came out for Spider-Man. Of course, I talked about it at San Diego Comic-Con. And if you guys don't know, Magic the Gathering has recently got the Marvel license. The first set is the Spider-Verse, but they've also made mention that they're probably going to be doing other Marvel sets in the future. And a lot of the original art for these Magic the Gathering cards is in fact going up for sale. And we've kind of had discussions about how Marvel card art is definitely getting a lot of attention more recently. We've talked about, some of the Greg Hildebrand stuff, like the Marvel Masterpiece sets by Joe Jusko that has been being sold. So a lot of this attention has been going to the Marvel card trading card market. But, in combination with Magic the Gathering, being that they're doing a Marvel set, you kind of have to wonder if a lot of those Magic card buyers might move over to a lot of these pieces. And I really do think that this could be something that a lot of people pay a lot of attention to. And one of the reasons why I think of that is because if you guys happen to know and be following, what's currently going on with the Magic card booster boxes, the collector booster boxes, they're selling for $659 a pop. If you guys don't know, these things tend to usually sell around $200 retail when they initially come out. So being that, they just dropped and people are buying them up like crazy, paying these types of prices for it, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, shout out to Rudy over at Alpha Investments. If you guys know, he's been talking about these things, and the Marvel stuff is absolutely exploding. But I'm thinking ahead to the original art that could be hitting the market. Let me go over here and type in Marvel. And if I scroll down, you guys can actually see some of the Marvel pieces that have also sold. This one was one of the Spider-Man trading cards that I think ended up going for, well into the five-figure range. This one right here by Jesper Edging, another one of my favorite fantasy artists of all time, was this incredible Venom piece that sold for $15,000. And there were other ones like a Captain America piece, a Wolverine piece. And here's the Wolverine one. I think this sold for, $55,000 for the initial Magic the Gathering Wolverine set. I mean, think of the prices we've been talking about with what the Hildebrand pieces were getting at some of the Marvel trading card auctions at Heritage. $55,000 would automatically put this piece amongst some of the top sales in that. And so I kind of think that there's some crazy Magic the Gathering art fans that might come together and be starting to look at, some of these Marvel pieces. So you have the two franchises, joined at the hip, and who knows what could be happening in the future. This one right here, $25,000 for this Captain America piece with the artist, posing next to it, which I think was a really, really cool pickup, really, really cool card. This is what it looked like, Captain America First Avenger. So again, Magic the Gathering, I think it's a really interesting property, really interesting IP, but more importantly, because it's now in affiliation with Marvel and they have their own Marvel set, a lot of attention coming to the stuff, and I sort of bring it up just as kind of a interesting thing. Now, some other interesting things before we wrap up the video that I want to, just shed some light on with regards to the original art world is that I feel like we're starting to see a lot of, the ecosystem of original art collecting starting to expand. And what I mean by that is, if you guys know, Comic Art Fans is the go-to website for comic art collectors and people that are in that community. But we're starting to see some other websites pop up, most notably this one right here, which is Snikt.com. Yes, if you guys know Snikt, the sound effect that Wolverine makes when he unsheathes his claws, is a new website that was created by Zatari, an awesome guy and a great collector who I did my original art panel with. He recently launched this platform that is a new place to kind of share your original art, and it kind of has an updated, modern look compared to that of Comic Art Fans. But, I bring it up because, obviously I'm giving him a shout out, but at the same time, it's really interesting how there is a marketplace where now a lot of these types of tools are things that people want. There's enough people that are interested in art that they're kind of thinking to themselves like, okay, how do we do like new versions of social media sites that can integrate this type of thing? Dinesh right here having his ASM 300 page, you have like all the details with some notable descriptions of it. And then of course you can have some comments comments right here where people can kind of comment on it. And then you can go to the search bar and you can search other pieces of art. So if I pick up Darkhawk, well, we got a couple beautiful pieces. Darkhawk #1, page 14, the transformation page. Again, really, really cool art piece. But, I think it's interesting. You have things like this that are coming up, and then you have things like this that are coming up. Shout out to Aegis Accessories, a company by the guys who founded Collector Summit, and they recently came out with a new product for this company, which is basically, a binder that can hold your original art pieces. And again, this is not a sponsored video or anything like that. I'm just giving these guys a shout out with their websites and, just kind of showing you guys the ecosystem that is starting to blossom. And I think that that's something that is really, really interesting. And, we've had a lot of these conversations on the channel about how a lot of collectors are thinking about original art. And again, it's personal to me. I kind of feel that draw myself, although comic books is my first love. I am certainly paying more attention to the art world. And I think I'm not alone in that. And I feel like there's something to brewing. And when you got guys, selling comic books in order to pick up Chris Rahn pieces, Magic the Gathering art, I don't know. I think it's really interesting. Anyways, that's all for this video. That was me sharing my new original art piece. Gonna go hang it somewhere on the wall. Gotta find some wall space. This thing is huge. I feel like art is a real slippery slope here, guys. I feel like you start buying stuff and then eventually you run out of wall space and it's like, where am I gonna put all this stuff? I'm gonna have to buy a bigger house. In fact, that's actually what you have to do. You have to make more money so that you can buy a bigger house, so that you can buy more art, so that you can hang it in your house. And then when you run out of that, you gotta buy a bigger house so you can buy more art. You have to keep going until you're Jeff Bezos. So we got a lot of work to do. Anyways, that's all for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See y'all in the next one.